The wind cut through the valley like a blade, hissing across parched grass and rattling the rusted fence line that stretched for miles around old Jeb Carter's ranch. Folks around Hollow Bend said the land had memories, and that if you listened close enough, really listened, you could hear the past whispering through the cottonwoods. Jeb never paid the talk much mind, not until the evening he found her, a girl in a tattered pale blue dress standing barefoot beside the abandoned well at the back edge of the property. The sun was sinking, bleeding gold and crimson into the horizon, painting her silhouette in a light too eerie to ignore. She didn't turn when he approached, though he knew she heard him. Even the horses in the stable had gone still the moment he stepped off the porch. Jeb cleared his throat, a low sound swallowed by the wind. "Miss. You lost." She shivered before answering, as if the words themselves carried weight. "You shouldn't be here." Her voice was soft but striking, trembling and ancient at the same time. "Not tonight." Jeb felt the hair on his arms rise. "This is my land." She finally turned, and that's when he saw her eyes. Not glowing, not strange. Just hollow. Like someone who'd cried every day for a century. "That is forbidden," she whispered, stepping back so slowly it looked unnatural, her dress barely fluttering though the wind had kicked up fierce. Jeb's throat tightened, but he held his ground. "What is?" Her gaze flicked behind him toward the ranch house where the porch lantern swung wildly. "You opened the cellar," she said. "And it has awakened." Jeb felt a coldness slide through him. He had opened the cellar earlier that day, first time in years, after hearing something scraping from inside. He thought it was raccoons. Thought nothing of shifting aside the old boards his father had nailed shut decades ago under the pretense of bad foundation. But now he remembered his father's pale face the one time Jeb asked about the cellar, the way the old man muttered about family curses and town secrets too heavy to carry and told him never, under any circumstance, to disturb what lay beneath. Before Jeb could question the girl further, the wind died in an instant. Silence crushed the valley. The horses screamed. And the well behind her, dry for 30 years, released a single echoing thud from its depths, as if something enormous had struck the stone walls. The girl lurched forward and seized his wrist with a strength her fragile frame couldn't possibly possess. "Run," she breathed, desperation cracking her voice. "Warn them. Tell them the seal is broken. Hollow Bend will fall again if you don't." Her fingers were ice, colder than the December river. "Slow down." Jeb tried to pull free, but her grip only tightened. "What seal? What's in the cellar?" Her expression twisted, and tears gathered in her strange, sorrowful eyes. "My mistake." Her words trembled like shaken glass. "I should have stopped him long ago. And now it's back." The ground rumbled, not like thunder, but like something buried deep under the ranch had shifted in its sleep. The girl released him abruptly, her breath ragged. "They'll blame you," she said. "They always blame the one who awakens it." Then, just as the first lanterns lit across the distant town, she stepped back toward the well. Jeb lunged to stop her, but a sudden burst of air, cold as a grave, slammed him backward. When he scrambled up again, she was gone. Only a faint outline remained in the dust at the well's edge, already fading as if she'd never been there. Jeb stumbled back toward the house, fighting the rising panic clawing inside his chest. The cellar door, left open earlier, now stood ajar again, wider than before, as if something inside had pushed its way out. And from within the darkness, he swore he heard breathing. Slow. Heavy. Hunger-filled. He grabbed the shotgun from beside the door, but reason whispered that bullets wouldn't matter against whatever waited below. As he stood frozen, the church bell in Hollow Bend rang out, 3 long, shaking tolls that hadn't been sounded since the fire 30 years ago. Only one reason they'd ring it now. Danger. Jeb didn't know what he had awakened. He didn't know who the girl truly was or why she looked at him with a grief so deep it pierced bone. But he understood one thing the moment that last bell toll echoed off the mountains. Hollow Bend's past wasn't dead. And something terrible had returned. The rancher tightened his grip on the shotgun, heart pounding like hooves on hard earth, and whispered back into the night, "Then I better warn them." But as he stepped off the porch, a single thought chilled him more than any horror. What if the town already knew, and had been waiting for this moment? The wind rose again, fierce, frantic, filled with voices that weren't voices at all. And somewhere behind him, in the open darkness of the cellar, something smiled. Hollow Bend had always been a quiet place, too quiet, the elders liked to say, as if silence itself was a blessing earned from some old bargain. But as Jeb stormed down the dirt road toward the sheriff's office, lanterns flickering in windows and dogs barking as though sensing an unseen predator, the town felt different. Alive. Watching him. The bell tower stood dark now, its warning complete, and people peeked from porches with expressions not of fear, but of grim expectation. He opened it. Jeb heard someone mutter. Just like the last time. The hairs on the back of his neck prickled. Sheriff Rowan met him halfway down Main Street, the man's face pale beneath his hat. "Tell me you didn't open that cellar," Rowan said without greeting. Jeb halted. "I didn't know, my father never told me." "He did tell you," Rowan snapped. "You just didn't listen." Before Jeb could argue, the ground trembled again, a long, low vibration that made the street lanterns flicker. A sound followed, drifting from the direction of the ranch. A howl not entirely animal, not entirely human. Something in between. Something ancient. Rowan swallowed hard. "We need to get everyone inside the church. Now." "What is it?" Jeb demanded. "And who was that girl?" The sheriff froze. His voice dropped. "You saw her." "She warned me." Rowan cursed under his breath. "Then it's worse than I feared." He leaned closer. "That girl, she's been dead for 80 years. Jeb felt his blood run cold. Rowan continued, voice gravelly. "Her name was Lila Avery. Daughter of the first ranch owner. When the creature appeared the first time, she tried to stop it. They said it got her before the fire even started." Jeb shook his head. "But I touched her, she grabbed my wrist." "Spirits cling to this land," Rowan said. "Just like the thing beneath it." Before Jeb could press further, a scream pierced the night. A man burst from the alley behind the general store, face covered in dust and blood, eyes wild. "It's here," he shouted before collapsing. Rowan fired a signal shot, the crack echoing across the valley. Doors slammed. Children cried. And the shadows at the end of the street thickened, swirling like black smoke rising from the earth. A shape stepped out. Tall. Twisted. Limbs too long. Head hanging as though strung on invisible wire. Its skin scraped against the ground, whispering like sandpaper on bone. Rowan raised his rifle. "Don't shoot," Jeb said quickly. "Bullets won't stop it," Lila said so. "What will?" Rowan's voice shook. Jeb swallowed hard. "I don't know." The monster stepped fully into the moonlight, and for the first time, Jeb saw its eyes. Not red. Not glowing. Human. Agonized. As though someone was trapped inside, begging to be freed. Behind them, more townspeople gathered in the church doorway, whispering prayers, clutching each other tight. Jeb took a single step forward. The creature froze, head twitching toward him. A voice rose from deep within its throat, distorted, layered, anguished. "Carter," the sheriff's breath hitched. "It knows your name." Jeb steadied himself. "What are you?" The voice gurgled. "What your father failed to kill." The ground buckled. Wooden signs snapped. The church bell swung wildly without being touched. And overhead, clouds churned into a spiral. "Rowan," Jeb said quietly, "get them inside." "What about you?" "This started with my family." The sheriff hesitated, then nodded and barked orders to the crowd. As they rushed into the church, Jeb advanced alone. The creature twitched violently, as if fighting invisible restraints. Its human eyes flickered, pain, rage, desperate pleading. Then Jeb remembered something, his father's final words before dying 2 years prior, whispered deliriously on his deathbed. "I couldn't save her." Lila. The cellar. The creature. It all clicked like a snapped bone. "You're not a monster," Jeb murmured, heart thundering. "You're what's left of someone." The creature shrieked, stumbling backward, nails carving trenches in the dirt. The more Jeb spoke, the more its shape seemed to shudder, as if trying to break apart. "Who were you?" Silence. "Then, I was her brother." The revelation slammed into Jeb with crushing force. The Avery siblings, Lila and Thomas, were legends in Hollow Bend, said to have died in the Great Fire that consumed half the valley. But the truth was uglier. Jeb's father and the town elders had sealed Thomas alive beneath the ranch, sacrificing him to stop a curse they never fully understood. The spell twisted him, imprisoned him, turned him into this abomination. And Jeb, unwittingly, had freed him. Thomas, Jeb said softly, you don't have to, but another force took hold. Thomas lurched upright, limbs snapping into unnatural angles. A deeper voice boomed from within him, ancient, furious, hungry. I am not Thomas. It surged forward. Jeb braced, then dove aside as claws ripped through the dirt where he'd stood. Lightning cracked overhead, igniting a tree in the square. People screamed from within the church. Rowan fired blindly through the doorway. But the creature wasn't aiming for Jeb anymore. It was heading toward the church. Toward the people who had betrayed it generations ago. Toward vengeance. Jeb sprinted after it, lungs burning, shotgun bouncing against his shoulder. As the creature reached the church steps, something flashed in front of it, blue. Ethereal. A girl. Lila. She appeared between the creature and the door, hair billowing, eyes blazing with sorrow. Stop, she begged her brother's twisted form. Please, stop. Thomas's human eyes returned for a fraction of a heartbeat. Enough for him to whisper, set me free. Lila's tears flowed, glowing like moonlit water. She turned to Jeb. Only one thing can free him. Jeb nodded. Tell me.